Welcome to My Life, My Disability, a story about inclusion. This is a Tawong Shire Council initiative to give local residents a voice and share their life experiences. It's estimated that around 32.7% of Tawong Shire residents are experiencing a disability. This project allows them to talk about their journey and give a personal voice to key messages around seeking support, all the while sharing stories of hope for a better future.
Predominantly here in the Corryong area, we have an ageing population, but in saying that, there really has been in the last few years, and I don't have the data to head immediately, but there has been a trend in younger families with children with disability. So that's an area that when I first came back to this region several years ago, there was a few and a spattering of people, but now it seems to be a growth area.
I had Murray as a baby and was not told that I was having a Down syndrome child. It was a very devastating time for me. Murray was very sick, very ill. He was in hospital for weeks. I brought Murray home. Then at the age of 5, Murray had to have his ankles broken because he couldn't stand on his legs. He didn't walk until he was 8 years old. And everything that I've done for my son is because of Murray. I've taken Murray from Corryong to Belvoir Special Needs School to give Murray the support that he needs.
What has having Murray shown you as a mum?
As a mum, it's been a very difficult road. You don't realise having a disability child, how hard that it is to be raising one on your own. Murray gets very supported by the community here in Corryong as our local Baptist church in Corryong. They support Murray as one of their own. Murray supports the local Cudgel Football Club.
What support services do you currently receive, or what would you like to receive?
I get support from a local family in Wodonga. They are Murray's foster family. They are a very, very good foster family to Murray. They treat Murray as their own son. They support him with all the support that they can give him. So I would like the community support in public transport in somehow to get Murray to and from school.
Murray attends Belvoir School in Wodonga. How does that affect your family?
It was very hard at the start when we sent Murray to school because Murray left me at 5 years old, and that was the biggest, hardest thing in my life, to let my son, Down syndrome child, leave me to go to school in Wodonga and live with a foster family, which was very hard. It was hard on the foster family, it was hard on my family. But we did this for a reason, to give Murray the support that Murray needs, the education that Murray needs. Murray has now received that education. I'm so proud of what I've done for my son.
How do you feel about helping raise awareness of people experiencing disabilities?
I think that maybe for the community of Corryong, it'd be like to have a support group with all the disability children and the mums to all get together to help each other to raise how they've brought up their child and how it's affected them. But really in Corryong, for Murray, there is nothing here, and that was the reason why Murray has moved away.
And so here at Upper Murray Health, we're about to go into our service planning, which is a 5-year strategic planning of what our community needs to meet their needs within the community, and within that is our consumers with disability. We then, as part of that service planning, look at the gaps and say, okay, these are things that Upper Murray can't provide directly. How do we then engage the broader services from Albury, Wodonga or further afield to meet those gaps that we're not able to offer?
Well, my husband and I have 2 kids, Kalinda's 10 and Nixon's 6. They both have a rare neurological disorder called Angelman syndrome. So there's different forms of Angelman syndrome. Our kids have UBE3A mutation, which is a mutation of chromosome 15. So basically it's a severe intellectual disability. They're non-verbal, they have epilepsy, behavioural issues, sleeping difficulties, just to name a few. It can affect them in different ways as they're growing up. As you know yourself, as you grow up, things change, situations change. It will affect them in ways of their epilepsy, safety, things like that. Hopefully the more services we can get in the future, things will be a bit easier for them.
Tell me, what is your day like caring for your children?
It can be pretty full on at times. Our situation has changed recently in the sense that our youngest Nixon is now going to school. Prior to that, having the kids at home more regularly is quite tough. They're not toilet trained. We do things like changing their nappies, making sure that they're comfortable, fed. They're non-verbal, so working on things like keyword sign, generally, things like that.
How does the local community support your family?
We have a pretty good little community here. We've got some great family and friends. We've got neighbours that come up and help. Just for example, my eldest Kalinda has an allergy to jack jumping ants, just to add on top of everything else that she has going on. I can ring the neighbours in the drop of a hat and they're up there helping, waiting for the ambulance, things like that. It's fantastic. We've also got the community that helps out with things like the kids are at school. They've just started a swimming program with some staff from the hospital, and they're increasing that in the winter months, doing a gym program. We've just got friends that help out with things like respite because we haven't got that available in our area yet, so the community is quite good. The services that we have come up are things like speech, physio and OT, and we don't receive any respite at the moment, so hopefully when the NDIS comes in at the end of this year, that we'll see some changes that will help.
So what are the disability support services that you currently receive?
We currently receive speech, physio and OT. That's about it at the moment. We would really like to have things like respite, just for example, some after school activities, for children with disability, even holiday programs where they can get together and I guess feel a bit more normal.
So what does respite mean to you?
That would mean a lot to us. Respite in terms of even if it was somebody coming in to spend time with the kids, that teaches them different life skills, being looked after by somebody different, but also for us as a family, as a husband and wife, to get out, have dinner, to relax, to have adult conversation, just to be yourself.
How do you feel about helping raise awareness for people experiencing a disability?
I think it's fantastic. It's something that, back when our kids first got their diagnosis, you just didn't want to talk about it. You felt quite, withdrawn, embarrassed, but I think, having something like this happening, it just opens up a whole different community. I think it's wonderful that, once you're comfortable with things, you can get out there and talk about it. We were told it took many years for Kalinda to get her diagnosis, so basically when we decided to have more children, we thought that was a safe thing to do, that this disability wouldn't happen again. At that time we didn't have a diagnosis, so we had Nixon and things were wonderful until we started noticing that he was a bit different as well. So acceptance, just realising that this is going to be the rest of your life, going through that grieving process. And
tell me about the distance you've got to travel just to go to the hospital, or
most of the time we do have to go to Melbourne. We have paediatricians in Albury-Wodonga, which is nice and close, but still you're travelling an hour and a half. I would say the one thing, without being selfish, would be a cure. To get a cure for Angelman syndrome would mean a lot.
Would you be happy for your children to leave the area to get the support they need?
No. In fact, a lot of people have asked me that, to get these services that you're fighting for, why don't you just up and leave, go to Melbourne where the services are there? I just think, we grew up in this area, we want our kids to stay in this area, and I just don't see what you tend to learn by taking your kids out of a community. Like, how does a community grow if you don't keep them within that community? How do you get the services there if you keep removing people and going elsewhere? I just think it's worth fighting for, to get to get services here, to keep the children here and for the community to evolve.
Here at Upper Murray Health and Community Services, we provide a range of both medical services and community services. So things like podiatry and physiotherapy, occupational therapy, and a range of medical services to help people meet those physical needs, as well as a range of more psychosocial services. So we have counselling, we have supports, we have carer supports, we have home and community services. We try to keep our services as flexible as we can to really be able to address those needs.
Tell me what your days are like when teaching children with a disability.
Challenging, interesting, different from the mainstream that I've predominantly worked in. Our days we start as a group together. We introduce our day, what we're going to achieve. We've got a high focus on oral language because that links well with written language. And then we engage in curriculum work. And then depending on the day of the week, we get involved in a lot of community activities. Things to engage in that will prepare us for life outside of school, for adult life, because we are young adults here, and especially for work readiness.
What other disability support service would you like to see improved for people with a disability?
Yeah, right. Well, transport is a biggie. In Corryong, we do have public transport in and out of town, but it's only once a day. I've heard stories about people in difficulties, possibly people with disadvantaged people where they're having trouble getting in and out of Corryong, commuting with Albury and Wodonga. I think, so that is potentially a big one. Activities for people in general in small towns are maybe few and far between compared with a large city. So anything available through organisations or the community, through the Shire, that gives people activities to engage in.
So, what's your name?
My name is Caitlin.
How old are you?
I'm 15.
Oh, okay. Do you like school?
Yes.
Do you have fun?
Yes, it is.
What things do you do?
Well, I do watching stories, and I like math and art and sport.
So, what's your name?
Tara.
How old are you?
16.
When did you come to the school?
2005.
Oh, God, you know a lot.
I think I do.
What's your interests?
I'm a big movie fan, and I just love talking about pop culture in general. It helps me get to know a lot of people.
What do you like? What do you enjoy about school?
Oh, school. Look, the teachers are absolutely great here, and it's good to get out of the house every day.
What things do you do in school?
Well, we do. I do a radio session every day. Not every day, but every week, which is good. You know, we do math, English. I've got my hand in all sorts of cookie jars at school. You know, woodwork, art, all sorts.
What do you do in the Lacey Learning Centre?
Oh, well, every morning we do SSR, which is Sustained Silent Reading, I believe. And then Mr. Evans reads us a chapter of a chapter book every morning. And then we just head on to Daily 5.
All right, what's the Daily 5?
5 things that we do in literacy. Reading, handwriting, spelling, and a spelling test. Now, after school, I like to have a bit of me time to reflect on what I've done right and what I've done wrong.
Oh, yeah.
You know, that keeps me busy.
So what do you love more like about the world?
I see the world as something that can be good and bad. It's something that we all are. But the world is something I want to be a part of, and I think I'm helping. I'm 16, like, what am I still doing in a primary school? So I do have those days where I just want to be just a normal teenager with friends. But I make that sacrifice to help my education, which I believe is a big thing in my life.
So would you like more services, that you could be a part of more high schools and kind of live as a 16-year-old?
I'm sort of two cents about that. I've experienced great friends, but I've also experienced a lot of bullying in my life.
Could you tell others how you got past all this?
Well, you do everything. You tell your mum, you tell your dad, you tell your friends. It's going to be hard, of course. Everything's hard in your life, but it seems quite a small in the big picture of life.
So do you have a favourite motto or anything in the life?
Motto:
Yes.
get busy living or get busy dying.
That's a pretty good motto. So what does that represent to you?
It represents freedom and it represents something great in the world.
Okay. So why are you here in the Lacey Learning Centre?
Well, I have a really bad heart condition when I was younger, which kept me in hospital for a long time. That's why I'm still in this class. You know, when you're sick in hospital, you don't get time to read math books, do you?
No, you don't want to read math books either.
Yeah, I think I was going to graduate about a year or two ago, but then I had a serious heart operation which really got me back to a basic level. Like I keep on saying, when I came back, they welcomed me with open arms, which really warmed my heart that people just didn't see me as that guy, that they saw me as Tyrell.
So you would like more services?
Of course.
Yeah. What sort of services would you like?
Look, I strongly believe in, you know, when you're in hospital, you need to reconnect with the world. So maybe have your class every week, so ring up and say, how are you going? My main goal was to get out of there. You can't just live in a hospital all your life, and I think I did that pretty damn well. If you excuse my language, don't give up hope. It's going to be really scary, and you're going to feel very, very depressed afterwards. But with you and with your mum and dad there holding your hands while they're pulling all sorts of stuff out of you, I feel like that's one of the greatest gifts that you can give to someone. Just being there for them, holding their hand, just being a sympathetic ear.
So your family really supported you through all of it?
Oh yeah, my dad didn't go to work for a month, and my mum was basically my nurse. You know, she had to help me get out of bed in the night and all sorts of things, and it must have been very frustrating for them. But
how do you feel about your parents and all that, like your mum and that?
You're gonna get me crying here. But you know, it's the hardest. I couldn't see myself being, if I was gonna be a parent, doing all that. You know, my mum and dad are two strong people, and I thought they would have cracked by the third operation, but so, they didn't.
So how do you feel about the community?
The community, well.
Do you like Corian?
Of course, I love Corian. It's a great small town where everyone knows your name.
Okay, my disability story is about 2 years ago. I went in for an angiogram, and they nicked through a vein in my neck, and I had a stroke during the night when I went to sleep, and woke up and I had a stroke, and I couldn't talk or move or anything. It was horrible. The disability I got left with was down my right hand side, so it's my right hand and my right leg. My right leg works relatively okay. My right hand doesn't have much movement. I have a daughter, her name's Kayla. She's nearly 5, turns 5 in July. She's a ripper kid. You need to have a lot of patience, and you have to think about things like what you say, because your brain works different to your mouth, and you think you're saying something and something else comes out. And the other help I need is to make the bed and sometimes hang some of the washing out and washing the floor. The community do support us very well. They're very good. The doctors are fantastic, and the counsellors here are brilliant. They're really, really good people. Yeah, I'm happy to raise awareness to the public because like not a lot of people actually know about strokes and disabilities like that. I was rather arrogant to it all before I had my stroke, but now I know all about it.
So our priorities for service provision are very much based on the needs assessment that occurs at the start of our service planning period. So I briefly touched on that earlier, but that's about looking at what the trends from the government are and what they're saying are high need things in our community and matching that with what the community tells us.
Council has worked closely with Corryong Secondary College students, Gateway Community Health and Media King to offer students guidance on effective communication and media skills. The students have been empowered to make a real difference and to support people in their local communities who may be experiencing a disability. Upper Murray Community Health Services, like Council, advocate and support people with disabilities through service and improved funding provision. External service agencies have an opportunity, a real opportunity to support rural and remote communities, to bridge the gap in respite and to provide support where it's needed most.